Hey, what's up, guys? How are y'all? Welcome back to the OS Rick Project. I hope you're doing wonderful. Hope you're having a wonderful evening, wonderful day. Whether you're on your way to work or at work or working out, I want to say thank you for hanging out, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. What have you guys been up to? What you've been watching? What you've been playing? Maybe a little bit of, probably watching a little bit of The Last of Us. I've been caught up. I'm at episode 3. It recently came by. That was a little bit of a tearjerker, right, guys? Been playing some games also. Been playing The Last of Us. I've completed that game, so we'll talk about more about that. And I finally completed also Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion, the port that was brought over to the Switch back in December. Finally finished that game. We'll talk about it more in a little bit. What else have I been playing, guys? Guilty Gear. I think I'm starting to level up on Guilty Gear, guys. I'm starting to bring in using the red Roman cancels into my gameplay, um, which is helping me out with when I get the wall breaks to execute more combos to get wall breaks, which is very good to keep your tension back up. And I was talking to my boy Viet, and he says depending on what move you do when they're stuck on the wall, if it's a regular move, they'll get right back up. If you use a super, you'll get Oki. So and then it depends on who you're playing against whether you want to keep that meter or not. So I've been learning a lot of stuff and been having a blast. Monster Hunter on Friday nights. That's been playing with the wifey and the boys when I get a chance. I've been having a blast with that. Super fun game, guys. What else? I think that's it for the most part. I did a little bit of Warhammer this weekend. When me and Mikkel went to go visit my buddy Travis and his brother Mike, and we played some Warcry. That was fun. I was the first one out. I got demolished. I got to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate my team, my strats mostly. I think my team's at a good spot now. I just got to execute better. If anything, maybe change some roles around to depend on who the leader is and stuff like that. But and actually, guys, we've been brainstorming the four of us, and we're thinking of making some Warhammer content. Bring it down. We're gonna start small, record some games maybe, and then little by little just work on it. But that's kind of like on the it's a project that we're gonna that we all been talking about a lot. Have been talking a lot about. So hopefully we'll get that rolling soon. So stay tuned for that, guys. If you're interested in that. But yeah, Warhammer's a fun game, guys. It's fun because you really have to invest a lot. It's expensive. I won't lie about that, guys. It's expensive to get into, but once you get in, and playing Warcry, you just need a way smaller unit compared to Age of Sigmar. I mean, it's just a fraction of the size of what you need, and the rules are very quick. Of course, I talked about it already, but once you build these miniatures, and then you assemble them, you get them, you assemble them, prime them, you paint them, and you start working on the characters and the skin tones, the armor, adding different decorations to the base. They really become your personal units, and you could paint them like the way you see them on the box, but you want to make them yours, right? You want to maybe try a different color or try a different technique or something different to really make them yours. And I've been having a blast doing that, guys. So and I've been you can't see them right now, but I have them all right here. I kind of rearranged the shelf to put them down here. You just see like a greenish blob. I'll take some greenish yellow blob. So I'll take a picture and put it on the Discord so you guys could check it out. But what we've been up to. Oh yeah, so it's gonna be a relatively short podcast, guys. I want to get into first. I want to get into the games that I did finish, and give you my opinions on that and my thoughts process on that and what I think about it. Let's start off with the one I just completed yesterday. Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion. Um, I like the game. I like the game a lot. It was really fun to play. I enjoyed it. The story I really didn't care for. I felt like I didn't get attached to any of these characters, and a lot of them were just a little bit over the top. It was almost. It was funny when I was streaming it. Chat would come in like, man, some of these dialogue lines, and of course I have it with the English voice actors. So a lot of them were talking about, man, it's kind of cringy. It's just, ugh. And it really was. So maybe On next time I play it, I would probably put it on the Japanese voiceover. Maybe it'll sound more anime style, and it probably won't bother me. But the story itself, guys, if you were to put a gun to my head and tell me what was the story of all this, I would have been like, Genesis was a part of an experiment that went bad, and Jill got some cells, and then we had to save Cloud. Something along like I really do not understand the story. That just fell flat on its face, and man, I don't know. I don't know if it's a story is just suffering from the time it was from, because it's back from 2007. That was like wasn't that like around the time when like Kingdom Hearts was coming out? Mind you, guys, I never played Kingdom Hearts, but the story I just did not care for. It felt ridiculous. The character designs, again, a lot of them just had these they were all one wings, angel wings on one side, and it just felt like, I know it's a fantasy game, but at least with Final Fantasy 7, it was some parts were over the top, but not, I mean, the monsters were, but not some of the characters. I mean, the characters, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just it's hard to put it in words. It's just Crisis Core. It was really odd. The story was just really odd, and I don't know what they're doing with it. And I've said this before. When it comes to Final Fantasy 7, at the end of the day, it doesn't take away anything from the original experience that I had, which I enjoy very much. It's one of my favorite games. I go back to it every couple of years. Y'all know that already. But with Final Fantasy 7, I know they made some changes, and playing this game, I was like, man, if they're gonna do changes like this into 7 remake, I mean, and again, guys, this is all hypothetical, right? Because we don't know what exactly is gonna happen. It just feels like, man, I really hope they don't. I'm okay with some changes, but changes where it just becomes like just ridiculous cringe. It's not fun. Now the gameplay, I did have a blast. That was super fun. I enjoyed it. I like the part where every time you go to a save point, you have access to do your missions, and you go out and you just do these short these tight little chunks of missions. It'll be, hey, go clear out this one room, or go defeat X amount of enemies, or just, I mean, it was very simple, very straightforward, to the point. And when you finish, you will get a reward. Even along the way, you're able to level up, get new items, level up your materia. So I never felt like I was underpowered during that game, because I was, just doing a lot of the missions. It was able to just steady get my levels up, and I never felt like I had to grind. Every time I did a mission, it was because it was a different and new mission. The only times I had to repeat them was if sometimes I'll get into a level that was a little too difficult for my current level. But other than that, though, I was able to complete most of the missions that I attempted. Mind you, on my first playthrough, I only did 30% of the given mission. So there's still a lot more I have to complete. And fortunately, the game does give you a new game plus, and it carries over all that stuff, so you can continue to build it up. And also, what they did very well, and I enjoyed very much, was how you're not really on a cooldown system. So you're able to use the moves as fast as you can when you want. Of course, you just have to get through the animation of them going through, like of him actually tossing a potion up and using it, or casting a spell, or using an ability. The second that finish, you could go right into the other one. And I enjoyed that very much. Summonings were kind of random. They had this DMW wheel. I don't know how. I couldn't tell you how it worked or how you leveled it up, but it's always just rolling in the background, and then they have different abilities. Like for the next X amount of seconds, your spells are free. For X amount of seconds, your abilities are free. You now have access to a summon. So that was very fun. I enjoyed it very much. Just swinging around using, and fuse and having different fusions of materia, where you could get one materia and fuse it with another one, and you can add an item to it and give it a whole different thing, or give it some perks, where you could have one where it's like a I remember I had Faraga, and then I had a spell like poison, the poison materia and Faraga poison both maxed out, and when I combined them, it created Dark Faraga, where it'll hit him with like poison and silence and stuff like that. So that was really fun having a new twist on the magic spells where they had its status effects, and which you kind of need, right? Because you're just playing as one character. You don't have a party, so you need somebody to do. You need some spells to do double duty, doing status effects and stuff like that on the enemies to do some crowd control. Because sometimes you get a whole bunch of enemies, but they weren't, like I said, they wasn't super tough. They had a lot of mechanics from that where I want to say were implemented into the Final Fantasy VII remake. You could see it, in the remake of Final Fantasy VII, where um, Cloud could go into Punisher mode, where he does slower attacks, but they're a lot more stronger. Well, there's a very similar mechanic like that Zack is able to do. So what else was in there? Even like the UI and the layout of the menus and stuff was very reminiscent of Final Fantasy VII remake. So I could see how they borrowed a lot of stuff from that game and incorporated into the remake. So another thing too is this, being able to play. Excuse me, being able to play as Zack. In the original games, you barely saw any. You saw very little of him. He was very mysterious. You know that he was a soldier, that Cloud looked up to him. He was a mentor to Cloud. He was able to escape and save Cloud, and he had a very tragic end outside of Midgar before Final Fantasy VII actual begins. So yours kind of, and you knew, and there was a tie-in with Zack and Aerith. There was something there, and that's just from playing the regular 1997 Final Fantasy VII game, right? Zack existed. There was a little bit of mystery to him, but playing the game as him and seeing his character, how they fleshed him out, I just didn't, I didn't like him. I really didn't. And not saying that he was a bad character. He was just this plucky, happy-go-lucky, I'm gonna do my best kind of character. And again, that's not a bad thing. It just felt like, man, like in the information I knew before I played this game, he was a very mysterious figure. Like, who is he? What does he do? What was he about? But then playing it, it's just like, man, it just kind of took that away, and I was like, man, okay, so this is who he is. And like, well, he just kind of like some hammy over the top character, and that's not just him. It was a lot of the cast in that game. It just felt just like, again, the story was just not the strongest moment, but the gameplay was fun. I enjoyed it, and just playing on the Switch. It ran flawless on the Switch. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it was a wonderful port what Square Enix did with that game. Um, Hopefully we can see some more games. I think they mentioned about bringing some more of their pixel perfect games that they released on Steam sometime last year, bringing them over to the Switch, which I would be a fan of. You guys heard me say that a million times already, right? But overall, Crisis Core, I liked it. It was priced like at $49.99, $39.99, $40, I think. Um, if you're a fan of the series, I would say play it. But if not, I'd say hold off on it or wait till you find it on discount. But overall, it was a fun game, guys. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I did it. Um, let's talk about the elephant in the room, guys. The what everybody's been talking about, the show that's been revitalizing the franchise, if sort of say, The Last of Us Part One. Well, The Last of Us, right? So I started playing the game when the show was coming out because I figured, you know what, I've been talking about this game. I've tried it, playing it a couple of times here and there, and I could never get into it. But finally, I was like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to stream it, I'm going to play it, I'm going to get through it. And I think it took me roughly 3 weeks, like right before the launch of the HBO series, and I finally completed it. So 3 weeks later, overall, you know what? I'm glad I played it. I'm glad I played it. I still feel like the story is okay. I like Joel as a character a lot more. Um, Ellie is I know I like Ellie also. She plays. She's a little 13-year-old brat. So I like that character. I like both of the characters. Ellie and Joel, I like those characters a lot. All these other characters that have this tragic outcomes happen to them, I really didn't care. I didn't meet Tess enough to find out her character and like her. The two brothers that I meet along the way, I see them next playthrough. They're gone. The crazy campers, I guess, the crazy survivalist guys. Um, Again, they showed up. They were bad guys and they were gone. Um, Joel's brother, he's in there for like one like one little playthrough of an area, a small chapter of the game, and then he was gone. Um, so a lot of these side characters, I just didn't care. It was mostly Joel and Ellie that I enjoyed, and it reminds me of when I played God of War. I was about to say Ragnarok, just regular 2018 God of War, where you have on that game you had Kratos and Atreus, bouncing some banter between the two of them, which made it a lot more better, a lot more digestible, and enjoyable, right? Because when I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn, when I just hear Aloy just keep talking, like, shut up, no shit, we get it, okay? Aloy, shut up. So with The Last of Us, Ellie and Joel just talking, to each other, bouncing back. I really did enjoy it. I liked that a lot. It was fun. And again, I like Joel's character. He's a man of no. He doesn't do half measures. He's done some shady stuff. He's trying to do the right thing, but he has done some evil things. He has, and again, there's no middle ground with him. It's either this way or no way. And I did like him a lot. As for the actual gameplay, there were some parts that I did not like. Okay, the parts I did not like is when they just here's a cutscene and just put the controller down and just watch and watch and watch and watch. Okay, and here's some more dialogue. Okay, and then some parts were like the puzzles. I didn't feel like they were too difficult. It felt like if you just waited around and looked there and just were patient. There was one I had to look up because you had to like roll a dumpster down into a freaking fence to break the chain. Like that. Okay, sure. Because I was like, what am I missing here? But for the most part, the puzzles were pretty easy, and it wasn't like some of the other Sony first party games where they're like, all right, here's a hint, we're gonna just tell you right now. Like, no. And this game, it was they were pretty subtle, like because they always have like yellow caution tape for something to look at, or they have like a light pointing at a certain area, or just something that's like you could just it gave your attention enough where it's like, hey, look at this. And I'm not gonna ding the game for that, of course. But recently playing Elden Ring, where the game's like, I don't know, figure it out yourself. Because in that game, it pretty much you have to go find it. On this one, they gave you some subtle clues, but it wasn't enough where they were blatantly obvious. But it wasn't to the point where they just kind of like left you hanging. So I'm okay with the puzzle parts. Um, I thought there was gonna be more like escorting of Ellie in the game because I remember early on you had to go like get a pallet in the water and carry and ferry her across the what you call it. Those parts weren't too often. They were there, but not too often where it became annoying. Where it became just like an escort mission. Sometimes the AI will cross you up sometimes, but it doesn't happen enough where it annoyed me. It was just a couple of times like, all right guys, let me get to the ladder, and they'll like stand right in front of it. Gonna have to like bump them out the way. Again, I'm not gonna unlock the game for that. It was mostly, if anything, I had issues with is there was some parts where okay, yeah, more of positives, right? Or part positive of the pluses was when sneaking through the shriekers and the clickers and the bloaters, and you had to be very quiet and just look around and grab a bottle and just kind of like launch one over and just distract them and then go around. But the thing is, you'll see like a room and there's three of them in there, and there's like you see some shinies in it, like wow, I gotta get the shinies right. I gotta make sure I get in their shiv. Or you come across, like a certain like underground facility, and the door's locked, and you want to use a shiv, and the shivs are your shivs are very are your best friends in that game because they're able to help you get your freaking takedowns like silently and like that real quick. So when you use a shiv, you're losing a very very useful tool. But the thing is, when you use it to jimmy open a lock, you can, a lot of times these storage rooms will have a lot of rewards to compensate you for the loss of the shiv. So um, I did enjoy that part, especially this when you had to like get around the clickers and stuff like that. Now, when it got to the human enemies and you had to stealth around it, there were some times where it just felt like there was just way too many of them. And I'm playing this on normal, guys, okay? Normal difficulty. I feel like there was just way too many of them, and it was just like they would just anything you did, like, oh, we got you. It's like you had to like slow your gameplay down to a crawl. And I don't know if that was intentional, but it just felt like I want to play this game. Let me get through it, and it felt like it was kind of it stopped. And that only happened like maybe twice. It was once when I was in Pittsburgh and had to like evade a survivor camp, and then near the end of the game when I was playing as Ellie and I had to go around like the lakeside resort. So it wasn't too often, but it happened enough where I was like where I did get frustrated. And I was like, I want to take a break, but it was okay. It was fine. We did it. Um, um, what else? Sorry guys, I was looking at my freaking camera. Um, but yeah, now the question becomes: do I play The Last of Us Part Two? And I don't know if I want to do that. From what I hear, is it's a difference. It's still Neil Druckmann and his team, but some of the writers from one are not there in for part two. From what I heard, I gotta go research this. And part two is a very polarizing. From what I already know the major spoilers. I see my friend Ruben play the game, so I watched him stream it. So I know the major plots. Well, most of the major plots, not all of them. I know about the character Abby. I know what happens to Joel. It becomes a story of revenge, but it feels like they were trying to like, and I don't want to say anything because I don't haven't played the game yet, so I'm gonna hold judgment on that. So hopefully, I'm thinking not right now because I just finished the first game, Tulum. Maybe in the summer, once I had enough time to separate from the game, I will go into The Last of Us Part Two if I can find a copy or something, or if and once the and since once I finish the TV series, once I have the first game and the series behind me, out of my mind, maybe I'll come back and play the Last of Us Part Two, and give it a shot. But again, I mean, it overall it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but but it's not as hype as everyone else made it out to be. Like, oh, this is the greatest game ever. It should be a movie and it should win Oscar. No, 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 no. It does what Sony does. It plays it safe by the numbers. We know that, but I'm just saying that the gameplay had some positives to it that I really enjoyed and I had fun and actually got me in the moment. And again, there were some parts where I just didn't care for it. So overall, I'm glad I played the game. So um, that's about it for those two games. I want to talk a little bit more, guys, but unfortunately, our time is running out, guys. I've been trying to keep these podcasts down to 45 minutes an episode, and sometimes during the week, on previous weeks, I might go a little bit over, so it kind of like cuts down on some of this time. So this week is going to be a short episode. So I'm just glad I was able to talk to you guys about the games that I played right now. I've been having a blast. Let me know what you guys are playing, what you've been up to. I'm always curious to find out and get y'all's take on your an opinion on these games and stuff because I love video games. You love video games, and that's because that's why you're listening. So let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it because we all love this medium. We just have different opinions, and it's fine to have different opinions, right? And again, guys, and I don't want to sound like I hate these games. I'm just being critical. I want to critique. I don't like when I go to someone and say, "What do you think about this game?" Oh, it's great. It was love it. Perfect. That's it. Like you have no critiques. No, it was great. Perfect. Like no, you think about it. Let's be critical. Let's analyze it. What was good about it? What was bad about it? What did they do good? That's the conversation I want to have when it comes to video games. Anyways, guys, I'm done for tonight. Have a good time. Thank you for listening. I enjoyed that you guys were being here. Have a wonderful time. Play video games. Get some exercise. Have fun. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see ya next time. Bye, guys. Love you.